Mr. Lyndon, will you take your ground?
Stanley treated sound the same way as he treated picture. Just like composing a picture for Stanley, it was like you compose that track and you give everything the value that you need to have to give it a sort of a warmth or a coldness. We found that most theaters, sound was the last thing that they thought of. They just had one channel, you know, or they said, oh, we don't worry about, you know, if the right speaker blew and we just haven't, you know, got it changed. Or so all those reasons governed his sense, which said better, good. You could have a great soundscape that we can create in the back, Clockwork Orange, you know, for instance. And I thought, well, why do you need? I think the horror of it is already there, you know. And people sort of kind of got overambitious sometimes. But when we found Chris Jenkins and we talked about it, all he was interested in was Chris did a remix on 2001. And he loved the fact that Chris had this almost the same ear as Stanley did, and that was what was, I guess, important to Stanley. We had this restoration, you know, idea going for a very, very long time, and DVD had come along, and Stanley and Warner's wanted to do, you know, a release, and they sort of came to him with the idea in the middle of editing Eyes Wide Shut, and then he died. And believe me, I have come across this attitude where, well, he's dead now, so it doesn't matter so much. Yes, it does matter as much, if not more, because the longer you go, the more corrupted it will go down the chain, so to speak.
So was Puff.
So that sort of became quite an important part of it. So what we did was to find all, you know, the music tracks, the dialogue tracks, and the effects tracks from all those films. So Clockwork Orange and Barry Lyndon and The Shining from the original stems. All of it was recorded and shot by Stanley, and just try to get a good 5.1 balance. But what we did was we always used his mono as a reference. So we didn't want, you know, suddenly a sound to start punching through that hadn't been punched through in the mono. Bass didn't take over, you know, the treble, the middle range wasn't dominant in any way. It was all a good mix, which is what that word means.
3.
Each and every single component is, first of all, it's clearer, it's cleaner. You're hearing it for its own value inside, you know, other sounds, and very, very quiet. But it was mostly room atmosphere, you know, and you could hear it and feel it, you know, and it was punctuated by this clock.
Reverend Runt, I need not tell you that the recent tragedy to this family has made the services of a tutor no longer required at Castle Hackton. Reverend Runt, I need not tell you that the recent
components rather than just an overall way of getting what you want, as close, you know, way of doing it, but never, ever kind of making it a singular. Well, if you count sort of the years I actually did work after he died, I mean, you're talking 30+ years.